morning. My name is Robert Bertolacci of the MindShare Learning Report. I have the good fortune of having a MindShare Learning moment with Dr. Michael Fullan on his recently published book, Stratosphere. Michael Fullan is Professor Emeritus of the Ontario Institute of Studies in Education at the University of Toronto. And thank you for joining me this morning, Dr. Fullan.
Thank you.
I enjoyed the book. It was well researched, peppered with great ideas on how teachers could engage students using technology in a pedagogically sound way. What was your goal in writing Stratosphere?
Well, it was one of those really timely things, I guess I'll say, or trying to stay ahead of the curve. We've been working in Ontario and elsewhere on what we call whole system reform to improve the entire system. And we've made some good results, but kind of have reached a little bit of a plateau with literacy, numeracy, some of the things we're doing in high school. And then in the meantime, technology, which in the book I say has not really been used in education very thoroughly, is growing leaps and bounds, getting incredibly strong, but is kind of undisciplined or unused in a focused way, at least in schools. So what I wanted to do was say technology has come of age. It's time to race with technology, not against it. And this, if we do it right, this will take us into the next sphere of learning, 21st century skills beyond what we're able to do now without technology.
What makes it different from other books on this topic?
Well, I take three concepts that are usually, people don't talk about them together. There is pedagogy or instruction, there is technology, and there is what I call change knowledge. So even on the pedagogy instruction, those two, they're not usually integrated very much. If you look at, you'll see technology come out and be and be praised or featured, but you don't. The pedagogical part is implicit, and you don't see even those two going together. But now we're seeing with the power of technology and a little more knowledge as well as about how to teach more effectively, that these become natural. I call them BFF in the book. They're best friends forever if they really get together. And so there's that part. And then the other part that I think really brings it home is our knowledge about how to bring about whole system change. Because now you could get pockets of innovation with technology and pedagogy as we do have. But those pockets will never add up if you don't pay attention to how do systems change.
Describe for me the relationship between technology, pedagogy, and change management.
Well, I think the relationship between the first two, pedagogy and technology, it's one of those things that it's not well worked out. Many people have heard of Clayton Christensen's disruptive innovations. And he says a disruptive innovation is something that comes along that's different radically than the status quo. But if you read his work closely, he says the disruptive new parts at the beginning are not really superior because they haven't yet been developed enough. So he says it's the beginning of an improvement cycle. That's what he puts it. So I make the same point in the book, which is what we're seeing now is the natural affinity of pedagogy and technology, because you can only go so far in pedagogy without technology. When you with technology, reach more kids, reach more information, do team stuff around the world. It's phenomenal if you know what you're doing pedagogically. So this now makes it possible to act on that in a really effective way for the first time. And so what I've been doing is in the book is bringing those together, showing why they go together, giving some examples of it, but also saying this is exciting because it's the beginning of a really radical improvement cycle, and that so many people can work on it, it will take off, and then we can reap the benefits from that.
What are the criteria for integrating technology and pedagogy at the district level and at the school level?
Well, I want to start in the learning sense with teachers and students. In the book, I say we have to meet 4 criteria of really making this work deeply. One of those is the solution has to be irresistibly engaging for students. So these pedagogical solutions are, when they have those features, kids can't get enough of it. So irresistibly engaging. Number 2, it has to be somewhat easy to use and not complex. The way the iPad is easy to use, for example. It's got that elegant ease of use is the second one. Third, it has to really draw on technology 24/7. So I say gadget goes to school, school goes to gadget. It's the world of information has to be incorporated by teachers and students. And the fourth I refer to steeped in real life problem solving. because the real-life problem solving, which now are showing up in project-based learning in schools, but if you let that flourish, what it does is it captures the 21st century skills, the teaming, the creativity, communication, collaborative problem solving, sustainability, entrepreneurship, innovation. So everything comes together with this when you put these 4 criteria together. And the job at the school level is to start to see these examples. You asked about the district. The district has to be, leadership has to be, I guess I'll say, smart enough to know that this is what they're trying to orchestrate. And we have a lot of knowledge about district-wide success and statewide success around our own literacy, numeracy, high school graduation. But we haven't actually delved into it from a technological integration point of view. But it's there. It can be done.
How will what you're proposing help students?
Well, it's the students are in some ways the major beneficiary. I show some data in the book that shows students starting in kindergarten, and then it says the question is how enthusiastic are they about school and being at school. And you go down. These data are from one of my colleagues, Lee Jenkins. And basically what it shows is that as kids go from kindergarten to grade 1, etc., school gets increasingly boring for them. I mean, that's the data. And so what it will do with kids is to escape that boredom into something even more, it's still within education, but something really exciting. The other part, a little bit complicated, is people talk about the flipped roles of students and teachers. Mm-hmm. So there's a major implication for the role of teachers. Teachers as active designers of learning, teachers as change agents. So the teacher isn't left out of the equation, has a more important role. But the students, both individually, the way they're engaged, will be engaged with this work, and collectively as they work together, it'll be a whole different, it'll be a transformation for them.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
What does this mean for whole system change?
Well, the whole system, the difference, the countries we work with now, we certainly work in Ontario, where I'm the minister's and the premier's advisor on education, have been for the last 9 years. We're working in Alberta, New Brunswick, British Columbia, but you could also U.S. There's a lot of interest in the U.S. and European countries. And what's happening, I call it the kind of the PISA phenomenon, because the OECD's assessment of 15-year-olds has been showing that some countries are doing very well, some provinces are doing very well, reading, writing, science, and math. And Ontario has been doing quite well, increasingly so, I'm going to say. So for whole system reform is, as we meet with people, I just came back from Sweden, where their performance as a country has gone down. And they said, what are you doing in Ontario? Because we are losing ground here. So the interest in whole system reform, we call it, has really been sparked by the PISA comparisons of different countries. And more are interested, not just on the results, that's part of it, but how do you get there? And whole system reform strategies are how to get there. So in the Stratosphere book, I think if we can combine this whole system reform kind of quest with really powerful pedagogical ideas infiltrated by technology and the attraction of technology, that's going to be a natural winner, and I expect a lot of gravitation towards doing that work. I still say it's at the early stages, mm-hmm. but it's so attractive and so clear, I think, and I've tried to make it so in the book on Stratosphere, that I think there'll be a lot of takers, and we will see it flourish, and we'll be able to learn from each other in the next 2 or 3 years or more about how this goes.
Exciting. What is the one takeaway you would like the readers of Stratosphere to have?
The one takeaway, I guess, is to be excited and energized, to see clearly. When I write, I try to be ahead of the curve, but I also try to be crystal clear about this is how it's shaping up, and this is why you should do it. And so if they can grasp the essence of what I'm saying in terms of integrating these 3 components and be equally excited about it, and then they can begin to really pull into it and work with others. And we can, the thing about the books I write, they're all action-based, so these would be things that somebody wouldn't read on the weekend and just sort of think theoretically, they would say, okay, how are we going to use this? Who are we going to get together? What kind of plan do we need? How do we get the action? All the stuff under the label that we call motion leadership. How do you get movement of individuals, of schools, of school districts, of whole systems, the push towards the future?
You talk about the year 2013 is sort of being in and around that year, the tipping point, if you will.
Yeah.
Perhaps you can discuss that with her.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a speculation, but I've seen two things, and they're kind of, they're just erupting, I guess I'll say. One is the dissatisfaction with the status quo, the boredom of students, the less enthusiasm for teachers, and the overall performance of the system. So there's a strong dissatisfaction where the system is able to go. There's that, and then there's the phenomenal excitement of the new technologies. These two things are separate right now. They're the frustration is here, and actually the world of the technology for students is largely outside schools. And as I said in the book, these two things are dying to meet each other, or should be. Here's you've got a great need, and here you've got a great solution. And if you could just bring them closer together, as I do in the book, you really have that opening up of the future. And then if you can surround it with the knowledge of whole system reform, you can really accelerate how it happens.
Was there a personal tipping point for you, a aha moment, if you will, when the genesis of this book came together?
Yeah, I think so. I guess we've been working on this whole system reform actively in Ontario for the last 8 years, and we never made technology part of our solution, if you like. I did another paper called "The Wrong Drivers of our Whole System Reform," and the wrong drivers were excessive accountability, and technology was the wrong driver. A wrong driver in the sense that if you just put technological infrastructure in there, hardware, software, you get a lot of wasted money if you don't have a plan about how does it work for learning. So I'd say the tipping point was the realization we've gone a long way without technology explicitly. Now I see, and I think the tipping point was really I wouldn't say the iPad, just that one thing, but if you take the iPad as exemplary of just the fantastic explosion of technology now, the ease of use, the way in which developing countries, they're leapfrogging over the expensive infrastructure into wireless, into handheld devices. So you really, it's a democratization of access to information. And what I say in the book is that democratization can lead to negative things, overload, burnout, misuse of information, bullying, whatever, or it can be turned to our advantage. And by far, the turning it to your advantage has so much possibility. And so the bubbling point is kind of with these two things, dissatisfaction, excitement is just reaching a point, and I could just almost see in the next 12 to 24 months that we will see these little examples that are now happening. There'll be a critical mass, and if we can break it open, which Stratosphere tries to do, make it available to everybody, and they join in, it'll be propelled at an incredibly good rate, I think.
Fantastic. Any final thoughts to share with our viewers?
I think about just on our own use of technology now, we have we are trying to create our own version, a solution to this. It's called Motion Leadership Madcap, and what we're doing is digitizing the curriculum with original film, we call snack films, aligned with standards, aligned with the best practices, and supported for teachers. So this MLM, as we call it, Motion Leadership Madcap, is exciting because it has the I call snack films. These are we've been using increasingly short 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 7.5 minutes examples of what these things look like in practice, so kids can learn from it. Of course, the Khan Academy has made this enormously available through the one use of with Sal Khan doing that math work, but we're seeing it doing all pieces of this, how you make this work, what does it look like. So it's really the visual access to the images of the future that technology makes it really readily available now in a way that you can you have a learning access that's just kind of bombarding you, and you can just be you can just you can't get enough of it. And if it's clear and if it's connected to action, if we have groups of people working on it where they feed on each other and share it, it's really going to be a wonderful change. Now, I think the next 2 or 3 years are going to be radically different than the last 2 or 3 or 5, and it's exciting. It'll be exciting for students. It'll be exciting for teachers, and then those that are trying to see the overall system improve, they'll have something to be proud of as well.
That was Dr. Michael Fullan, author of Stratosphere, newly published book by Pearson. My name is Robert Martellacci, and until next time, keep the learning curve steep.